Hey everybody, Brian over at Strong Tower, and you can see we got a different setup today, so I hope this works well. For the session today, we are going to need a tennis ball, you're going to need a resistance band, got a band over there, have a coordination chart, so that should be in your email inbox, coordination chart from us, or if it's possible to upload to TrueCoach, we'll have it in the TrueCoach platform as well, but probably coming to you via email. So you can look for Amanda or I, having sent you an email that way. And then you're also going to need like a couch cushion, a knee pad, a mat folded up, something like that. We're going to do a nice lower body nerve glide flow at the end, so excited about that. For assessment today, we're going to do some things in the session that are really going to help build midline stability, at least I hope for you. So I want to start out with an assessment involving midline stability. So what we're going to do is go ahead and get into either feet together narrow stance, or one foot in front of the other, or the other foot in front of the other. A stance that's going to challenge your balance. So if it's here and then you're pretty stable, you could go to eyes closed and work on that. And if you're good on tandem, eyes closed, then we could also go to that single leg stance. Leg could be down or up. And then if you're pretty stable here on both sides, then we could go to eyes closed there as well. Make sure you have cleared space around you and maybe a wall close by or something stable to hold on to if you felt like you needed it. Just want you to be safe first, obviously. So for me, typically it's left leg, maybe right today when I go to the eyes closed variation. So typically left, and I'm going to stick with left today. You can work in that challenging stance at home because we're going to reassess that in a little bit. The first thing I want you to focus on today too is nasal breathing. So nasal breathing, breathing through your nose, does two important things. It releases nitric oxide, which is a vasodilator, or it opens up our blood vessels, our veins. And that's really important as we exercise because we want to get good blood flow to those skeletal muscles, and just good blood flow in general is a good thing. So nitric oxide releases actually in the paranasal sinuses when you breathe through your nose. So a natural way to get nitric oxide into your bloodstream is nasal breathing. Really simple. You don't have to go buy an expensive supplement at GNC or Vitamin Shop in order to get your vasodilation happening. You can do it naturally by nasal breathing. It's also going to make the workout a little tougher, so fair warning, do as much nasal breathing as you can, move to some mouth breathing if you have to. The second important thing from a health standpoint, especially important right now, is you have some natural filtration that happens when you breathe through your nose. So it's going to filter out particles, things that we maybe don't want coming into the body, and there's some natural filtration that happens if you breathe through the nose instead of through the mouth. So as we warm up, focus on nasal breathing. If you can get into the more intense portion of the strength stuff from today and keep nasal breathing, awesome. If not, that's okay. But definitely during the warm-up. So I want you to be close to stable object, something that you can hold on to, wall, countertop. We're going to loop the band to start underneath your foot. We're going to start right into some ankle circles. So that band is looped around the arch of the foot. Trying to keep the legs stable, eyes up. The tendency is to look at that joint that we're moving. And so to improve your proprioception, or your brain's ability to feel movements happening in a joint, we want to do those movements without always looking at them. Really important for injury recovery too. Just seen some research where we know if you're not staring at the joint and relying on your visual system to dominate that movement, we get basically better results in the rehab setting. If specific ACL injuries in female soccer players, there's a big reduction in the re-injury rate if the coach, therapist, whoever's working with those athletes is focused on making sure they're not using their visual system to dominate the knee rehab process. So eyes up, please. A lot of benefits to that. And then the next one we're going to work on is getting into wrist and elbow. So I want you to put the band over the wrist, kind of right at the joint. We're going to glide that wrist up and then back down. So up and down, gliding through there. Good. We can just keep the band anchored under the same foot and move to that opposite wrist glide. Imagine there's a Lego person inside your wrist joint, and you're going to send them up to the top floor on an elevator, then back to the bottom floor of a skyscraper on an elevator there. And then also going to the elbow. So I'm going to scoop my bottom hand, pick up some slack on the band to create some slack for the top hand. And then I'm looping the thumb on the top hand. From there, I'm going to elbow circle, hand comes around close to the face, getting full elbow flexion here, all the way back around and extend. Let's go the other direction for a few. Make sure to breathe, get nasal breathe. And then same thing on the other side. So pull up with the bottom hand, top hand reaches out with the thumb hooked. And then we're going to go around for that elbow circle. Try to stay tall. Relax everything that's not working. And breathe through that. Good. And then we're going to move to the knees. So elbows and knees are buddies in the nervous system. They have a cross connection through the spinal cord, and they work together in gait. So we're going to take the knees, bend to the side, to the front, to the side, or knee circle, around, and then back up. If you can, nasal breathe again and keep your belly button facing forward. So not a lot of torso rotation coming in here. And go the other direction. Really nice. So these are loaded knee circles, meaning we have body weight and the floor kind of pushing together and loading that movement. We're then going to do unloaded. So being on a single leg, again, hold on to something if you need to. We're going to bring a knee up. Could be up here, could be here. You do the hip range motion that you're able to do. We're going to bring that foot around in a circle underneath the knee. So the motion's really happening through the knee joint. Quick reminder for the joints, if you, friends, family have arthritis or just some achy joints, motion is lotion. So a lot of these movements could be done first thing in the morning, a few times throughout the day, anytime you're seated for a prolonged period. You want to just get up and do some of those joint circles, joint movements that feel really good. Good to practice more than just one time a day in sessions here. So from there, we're going to go into, want to do one more elbow circle today. So we're going to take the arm out to the side. I am not straight forward, not straight out to the side, but right in between. From there, I'm going to circle the elbow, but bring the hand underneath the elbow this time. So around, coming palm up, around, rotate to palm down. And then reverse direction. Good. For me, this is a little bit of a nerve glide too, so I get a little bit of a nervy sensation in the radial nerve as I go through that one. Make sure you keep it light and gentle if you're feeling that as well. Arm out to the side. You're going to graze the ribs. Hand is coming now underneath the elbow. This is a bottom elbow circle. Let's go the other direction. Doing great. Instead of a top elbow circle. If you combine top to bottom, you can start to have fun with making more of like a flowing figure eight pattern. And really those help warm up the nerves in the arm that come out of the shoulder, out of the cervical spine as well. Then we're going to go to hip pendulum. So again, hold on if you need to. You're going to float the foot side to side. So you can balance if you're comfortable with it, or hold on if you need to. And bringing that knee up and knee down. Thinking about the lower leg being like the second hand on a grandfather clock, floating side to side. You should feel a gentle stretch in the hip joint itself up here as you go through that hip pendulum motion. So bringing it up and then back down, doing fantastic. Up, back down, warming up the hips. Good. Let's do a few hourglasses. We're just going to swing the hips around in a circular motion. Head goes the opposite direction and warming up there. Same thing going the opposite direction. Good. Nice hourglass movement, staying long and tall through the spine, and the spine is sort of tilting in this circular fashion as you go through that. Great job. From there, we're going to work on your coordination chart. So this is the STAR chart. Hopefully you have it printed out. I'm just taping mine up to a chair. Give you a quick view of that. So again, check your email. We've sent that to you. If you need to pause a second, run and grab it, print it out. You can pull it up on your phone or whatever device you're using. Or if you have access to a printer, want to quick print it out, just tape it up on your wall. This chart has lines and stars on it. So some of you have done it with us before. If you haven't, we're going to use this as a reactive chart. So if the star is on the right side of the line, I'm going to do a right side driven movement. In this case, a tennis ball toss and catch. If the star is on the left side of the line, I'm going to left toss and catch. If the star is right on that line in the middle, I'm going to do a squat today. So in the squat, I'm heel driving, pushing my hips back. My knees and hips are hinging at about the same timing. Hips go back and down like we're sitting into a chair and then come back up. You do the range of motion that works for you. I'm going to go through the chart as quickly as I can. Toss right, toss left, or squat. And if you got it set at home, we're going to go through this one round through it. There's 36 stars on this, so we're doing 36 repetitions. You got this, ready, set, and go. So just switching hands right to left. Again, reacting to where that star is. So hand switch and toss. Hand switch and toss. Job. Way to breathe. Bonus points for nasal breathing. And yes, this can be challenging because we're doing a little bit of ambient or peripheral vision work as you do that toss and catch in order to keep track of your spot on that coordination chart. Awesome. Good. And then 10 bonus points if you beat me through that right now. Good job, good job. So want to retest your balance because the reactive ability in the coordination chart sort of stimulating the visual system, different brain areas can a lot of times create a positive response and balance. So let's go ahead and recheck whichever side you're working on, whichever stance it was for balance. And then eyes open or eyes closed, whatever you tested with at the beginning and found challenging, we'll retest. Good job. Okay, so for me, a little bit better. Tend to get a positive response in a lot of different range of motion assessments, strength assessments after doing that coordination chart. What we're going to work on next, the cone set out here. So if you wanted to put 2 books, 2 pieces of paper on the floor, we're going to do some side shuffle plank action into a push-up. I'm going to give you 2 options because just important to make sure if you're just starting out, we kind of take this as your ability allows. So we're going to start plank position, a little bit of posterior pelvic tilt. I'm going to have my hands under my shoulders and then my legs straight. You could be in a plank kneeling and then go side to side and push up. So if you're comfortable, feel like you need to be on your knees, we're still driving the hips down towards the floor and then pushing up when you get to a cone. So that's option 1. Again, you might want your knee pad, knee cushion if you're doing the kneeling option. And then the second version, a little more advanced, we're going to go ahead and get up into the full plank and shuffle right to left. So if you're ready, let's do this. We're going to go plank, shuffle, 10 reps into a push-up at each cone. Elbows are coming in, shoulder blades back and down on the push-up. I think we're at 4. You got this. Way to go. 7. Keep it up. Keep it up. 8. Good. Whether you're kneeling or full push-up, you're doing amazing. Again, minimum effective dose. You go to where you feel like your capability is for today. It might actually vary, differ day to day based on your rest, your fuel, kind of how you're doing coming into the session. So 10 reps, awesome work. From there, we're going to go into a hip bridge march. So going onto your back, if it's tough for you to get up and down onto the floor, you could also do that side to side shuffle, plank, push up against a wall. So in that case, hands would be up, you'd be standing against the wall, shuffle over on the wall, push up, shuffle over, and push up. This next one, again, if it's tough to get down to the floor, we could hip bridge on a bed or on a couch. So if you need to, go to couch or bed, and then we're going to hip bridge with a march today. So hip bridge, feet are shoulder width, knees bent just past 90 degrees. As I push up, the knees come to about 90, shoulders are pushing into the floor. From there, I'm going to march a leg up, doing my best to keep hips high with good extension, and then hips stable side to side as well. So I'm trying not to let this tilt or rotation happen in the pelvis, keeping hips neutral and marching through. Good job. Way to breathe, way to push. Let's come back down with control and then come back up. So we're going to go through a circuit today. You're in the strength circuit, doing some core activation right now. And we're going to get through this for 2 rounds. So the next one is a side plank. So I want you forearm or elbow down on the side plank, and we can either do a kneeling variation. You could do this against a wall too if this is too challenging. And then more advanced, we can extend the legs out, get the knees up off the floor and hips up off the floor. So ready, set, and go. We're going to do 10 shoulder circles in each direction. Way to breathe, way to stay tall. Let's reverse that shoulder circle. Good control. And then same thing on the other side. Great work. So we're going side plank. Again, you pick the modification. If it's kneeling, that's going to work for you, or to the feet. And then we're going 10 shoulder circles. We want the base elbow right under that shoulder. I feel like I'm shoulders right over top of that base arm. Good. And then reverse direction on your shoulder circle on the top arm. Way to breathe. Again, bonus points if you're still nasal breathing. Way to go, guys. All right. Next one's a resistance band hinge in an iso. So we got our band back out. Our band's going to be doubled up. I'm going to step onto it with it doubled up. The first thing is kind of making sure that my handles have equal tension out to the sides here. So I'm going to use those and come up to standing. Isometric hold today, I want you to shoot for 20 seconds. So keep it a nice tall spine position. We're going to hinge at the hips. So I'm not bending through the spine. I'm bending or hinging through the hips with just a slight knee bend. Once I get into my hinge where I'm comfortable, not too much stretch on the back of the leg or the hamstring, just a gentle stretch. We're going to hold here for 20 seconds. It's got to be close to 10. Good job, good job. So weights in the heels. Again, focusing on tall posture, a little bracing in the tummy and the abdomen. Let's go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then driving back up. Great work. Good. So 20 seconds there. And then we're going to get back into that position in a second. Just want you to give your back a quick break, because that fires the extensor muscles, the erector spinae muscles along either side of the spine. So really good for posture and core strength, but you don't want to over fatigue them. So the next one we're going to go into is a reciprocating row. The setup is just about exactly the same. So we got that band doubled up. Make sure I got equal parts on the right and the left. Stand up to start, kind of feel out tension, okay, similar. And then I'm going to hinge again, keeping a tall spine. Now going into reciprocating rows. So we're going to pull on one side and then alternate through. So I want you to get 10 each side. We're at 2, 3, 4. Good. 5. So I'm not really rotating in the torso. So I'm not doing this big chest and hip turn. Keeping hips and shoulders fairly stable. Good job. Hopefully you got your count going at home. Lost mine again. All right, so I think we're at 9, 9, maybe 10, 10. Good. Way to knock them out. Fantastic work. That's one time through the circuit. Let's go ahead and reassess our balance. So a lot of that was core activation type exercises where we're working a lot of the musculature between the shoulder and the hip. Really good for midline stability again. So I'll let you go ahead and pick your balance test that you used previous, and let's get a retest. Interestingly, I'm working a little bit harder, so the left leg, left foot's working a little tougher, so actually responded better to the reaction chart, the coordination chart, versus the strength work so far. But hopefully you responded really well to the strength work. We're going to go through one more time. You got this. So we're starting with the plank. Again, remember, you can be kneeling, knees down on a pad for the push-ups. You could be on a wall. Walking across, push up, walk back across, push up. Just pick a couple targets a few feet apart, and let's get back into the plank. You got this. Here we go. So walking across, push the floor away. Good. Going for 10 here. You got this. But if you're in that 8 to 12 range, you're doing great. Good job. Way to breathe. Way to keep that posterior pelvic tuck. Make sure you're not getting one hand over top of the other. Good job at home. Here we go. Way to drive. Whew. Get one more. I think that's got to be somewhere in that 8 to 12 range. Good. All right. From there, we're going hip bridge march. So again, if you needed to get on a couch, a bed, if it's tough to get on the floor, it's okay. Our goal would be eventually to get you having the strength and mobility to where functionally you feel comfortable getting up and down off the floor. So we're going hip bridge, feet shoulder width, posterior tilt again in the pelvis, head goes down into the floor and hips come up, shoulders are also pressed down into the floor. From there, I'm going to control the pelvis position and work through a march. We'll go about 20 seconds with these again. You want to drive those heels into the floor, keeping the hips up nice and high. Good job, you got this. Whew, good. And then releasing out of that, we'll get back into our side plank in just a second. Grab a sip of water if you need it. And we're going side plank with shoulder circles next. So again, if you needed to side plank on a wall, it would look something like this, where the hand is down at an angle underneath the shoulder, and then we're out top side shoulder circle. So last time we did them on the forearm or the elbow. This time let's go ahead and bring it up to the hand. So you're going to be inside plank. Again, you could do this kneeling, so bottom knee could be down. And then we're going 10 shoulder circles on the top arm. Hips are engaged, abs are engaged, especially on that downside. The bottom arm into the lat, side abs. Good job. So 10 and 10, ballpark for a shoulder circle. Whew. Way to work. Go to the other side, you got this. Hand starts linear right underneath the shoulder. Feet are stacked. And we're getting into that T cross position. Good, 10 circles and switch. Good job, good job. You got this, way to finish. We are almost there. Woo! Through round 2. So again, minimum effective dose. You could do 1 round, you could do 3 or 4 rounds in this circuit. You pick what's going to challenge you, and also keeping you at that moderate, healthy range of movement and exercise for each day right now. So into the hip hinge next. We got band doubled up underneath the feet. We're going to come up out of the hinge, stand up nice and tall. So crown of the head to the ceiling. Going to actively push my hips back towards the wall behind me. Keeping the weight in the heels. And back is nice and flat here. And I'm just going to hold. So abs are braced. Sometimes holding a little bit of posterior pelvic tilt on this one too helps. Take stress off the low back. So if it doesn't feel amazing, think knee bend, posterior pelvic tilt, then hold that tilt while you get into your hinge. And a lot of times that will get you in a more neutral lumbar position, depending on where you're at starting out. So 20 seconds there, great job. And release out of it. Give the low back a quick break. Whew, got one more. We're going to reassess and then go into a lower body nerve glide flow that I really like. So in a warm-up or a cool-down, this lower body nerve glide flow is definitely a go-to for me. So something that maybe you can take with you as well. And if you're going out for a run, you're going to do, some intense outdoor activity, chop wood, whatever it is. You could go ahead and go through an upper and a lower body nerve glide flow, just flowing one position right into the next. So we'll walk through that in a minute. Last one we're going into in the strength portion, double the band up again. We're stepping in. We're going to be in that hinge position again. So again, knee bend, posterior pelvic tilt if that felt good to get into the hinge. And then from there, we're doing some reciprocating rows again. You got this. We're going 10 aside. Way to breathe. Again, 10 bonus points if you nasal breathed all the way through this. Great job. Woo. All right, so you need your couch cushion or knee pad for the nerve glide flow, and we're going to get into that. Grab a sip of water if you need it. Give you just a second to do that. If you have hard flooring, this cushion can be great for the first couple nerve glides, especially if you're working out barefoot or stocking foot. So we're going to prop the heel on the cushion or pad. You can be by a wall if you need to for balance. And then we're going to hinge in with a little bit of a swivel in the bottom of that foot. So I'm going to swivel the bottom of the foot away from my belly button, away from my midline, and start there. 3 out of 10, remember all of these. In the nerve glide flow, we're only going for a 3 out of 10 intensity on the stretch. I'm going to gas pedal pump my foot a little bit, taking a little tension in and out. These are going to keep the different nerves that go down the leg healthy and happy, as long as we're keeping them at that 3 out of 10 intensity. I'm going to come in and out of the hinge a little bit too. Bottom of the foot still swiveled away from midline. And then come out of it for a second. We're going to scoop the foot. Bottom of the foot now goes in towards midline. Hinge again. Again, 3 out of 10 only. Let's pulse the knee a few times. Get you to spin or rotate the hip as well. So still trying to keep the sole of the foot turned in. I'm going to rotate a whole leg through the hip. So gentle kind of flossing action for that nerve. Same thing on the other side. So this is tibial, bottom of the foot turned out, sural, bottom of the foot turned in. Both important for gait, both important for running, biking, really hinging, kettlebell work, anything where we need those muscles on the back of the leg to really work well. So scoop the bottom of the foot in. Let's go to some knee pulses again for the sural nerve. Come in and out of your hinge a little bit as well. And I'm trying to scoop the bottom of the foot in towards midline. Whew. And ease out of that. Really good. Sweating a little bit. Hopefully you are too. From there, we're going to go into the peroneal nerve. This is the nerve that pulls the toes up, so it keeps people from doing like a drop foot deal in gait, so pretty important as well. We're going to point the toes, scoop the bottom of the foot in, hinge forward. From there, I want you to bend and extend at the knee, remembering to keep the intensity light. And then let's go hinge and rotate towards that leg. So forward, bend, and rotate. Again, light intensity, be gentle with it. You're an adult, you're in control of your own body. And then same thing, toe pointed, bottom of the foot scooped in. From there, hinge. Let's do a few of the knee pulses. And then we can hinge and rotate towards that leg. Again, these movements can add intensity to it, so be controlled, smooth, and gentle with them. All right, good. So those are kind of the three main nerves that go down the back of the leg. Peroneal comes over to the top and outside of the leg too. Then we're going to go into a kneeling series for the nerves on the front that come down the front, not to the front of the hip. So I want you to get into half kneeling. First is femoral nerve. We're going to posterior pelvic tuck, drive the hips forward, rotate away from that back leg, and then just drive in and out of some posterior pelvic tilts. We can also go in and out of rotation and lateral flexion in the spine. So rotate, side bend away from that back leg, holding the pelvic tuck the whole time though. Good. Same thing on the other side. So we're going to posterior tilt, drive the hips forward, rotate away, and then go in and out of some anterior posterior pelvic tilts. Good. Hold the posterior tilt, rotate, and lateral bend. So rotate, lateral bend away from that back leg. Really good. Should feel a stretch in the front of the hip, maybe even down into the thigh. Kind of depends on where these individual nerves might be tight or tacked down, compressed, and we're by gently flossing them, taking some tension out of that system, and they typically function a lot better after these. So from there, we're going to get back to that first side. Forward step, but this time I want to take the foot well off to the side and almost get into kind of like an abducted position in the leg, more of a groin stretch type position. People think of it that way. But this is for the obturator nerve, so it's not meant to be a muscle stretch. It's again a gentle nerve stimulus for the obturator nerve. This one's really important for inner thigh muscles and the hamstring. So if you've had inner thigh pulls or hamstring pulls, tears in your health history, this is a really important nerve to keep healthy, and again give some gentle stimulus. So we're lunging off to the side till you feel a gentle stretch in the inner thigh, posterior pelvic tilt, and then you can add rotation away. So rotate away, holding that posterior pelvic tilt though as you go through that. Same thing on the other side. So forward step or lunge, then bring it off to the side. So we're going to send that foot over to the side, posterior tilt in the pelvis again, rotate away. So you can do the pelvic movement here. You can then drive it also with some spinal movement. So rotate away from that back leg, lean away from the back leg, and come out of it. Fantastic work. That is pretty much good, at least 5 nerve glides and a lower body nerve glide flow. I'm curious what your balance is like after that. So let's do one more reassess, and we'll call it good. And pretty good for me. Hopefully balance is good for you as well. If you found either the strength exercises, the coordination chart, or the nerve glides were great for your balance, definitely work on incorporating those consistently and keep moving. Thanks.